Hello, my name is Steve, and my goal has been to find the world's best performing anchors. And in this video, we're going to see that I may have done just that for the case of 2.5-pound dinghy anchors. Now previously, in video number 77, I tested 6 anchors in a firm, sandy mud seabed, and 3 of those anchors, they did not set at all. Those anchors that did not perform were this pivoting fluke anchor, the mushroom, and the grapnel. So for today's test, I didn't even consider them. I just took them out of the running. So what we're left with is a 2.5-pound Danforth, 2.2-pound Bruce copy. This is a Lumar Claw, and a 2.5-pound Mantus dinghy anchor. Now, if you remember from my previous dinghy video, the Mantus that I tested was their early model. It did not have a roll bar, and it was galvanized. This is their newer, all stainless steel, disassemblable roll bar Mantus dinghy anchor. I tested all 3 of these anchors in 8 different seabeds all in one day. I went driving all around our local bay looking for mostly gravel and sand seabeds. I'll mention that for all of today's testing, I used a 30-foot long rod, and none of the depths were more than about 5 feet, and that was only one that was that deep. Most of them were between 1 foot and 3 feet. So we're looking at scopes of 7 to 1 and up, sometimes 10 to 1. Occasionally there was a slope to the beach, and I might have been pulling slightly offshore, which is going to have the effect of decreasing scope. But for the most part, it was apples to apples with pretty generous scopes and pretty fair testing between these 3 anchors. All right, let's see what I came up with. Enjoy.
It's jerking, trying to bite in, not a lot of power. Very little holding power. There's areas where the stones are maybe only 1 inch diameter, and I drug it right across there and just skipping along. You could sort of feel the toe kind of trying to bite into something, but just skipping along. Okay, 1 to 2 inch stone. It feels some little jerks, but you're just sliding along. And there is a rock jammed right in here. It's loose. Okay, so it may have fallen out. The problem with a rock jammed in a Danforth anchor is if it flips upside down, the flukes won't articulate. But if it was jiggling, that rock would have fallen out. All right, that looks like pure sand and some small shell pieces. About 3 feet of water. And that's holding good. Okay, it does drag with a little bit more than idle power, but at idle it holds it fine. Yeah, flukes are fully buried, but the shank is right at the surface, and it was just dragging along. I can see its drag mark. Okay, the Mantus is set. We are not moving. cannot see any of the anchor. 100% buried. Yeah, perfect. Full power, no movement. Anchor is completely buried. Okay, let's run up the beach and see if we can find something different. Okay, that's small stone, 1/2 inch with some occasional larger. Really shallow here. It's only a foot deep. Held, as you saw, maybe 1/2 throttle or 1/3 throttle, and then it took off. Now it's reset, and off we go. Again, it's sand with 1/2 inch gravel and then an occasional larger stone. And again, we've got a rock stuck in here, and it's loose. Okay, same stuff. Small gravel, occasional maybe 1 inch. And that's idle and it's holding fine. I can feel it. It's just dragging along. Very little holding power. Huh. Flukes were completely buried. I'm thinking the seabed was about right there. But just continuous drag. Okay. Here there's very little sand, but similar, kind of 1/2 inch to say 1.5 inch stone. Nothing, it's just dragging along. I'm gonna throw this right where we started with the Bruce. Solid. Oh. Okay, it started dragging at above idle. And releasing. That's very consistent. It would start dragging at maybe 1/3 to 1/2 throttle, then it would reset and repeat over and over. It was buried about just virtually covering the fluke only. Roll bar and shank were sticking out. Okay, I can see the drag mark from the other 2 anchors. I'm going to put it right on top or just right next to it. Okay, it's holding idle. And now we're dragging fast. Back to idle. We're stopped. And we're dragging fast. Stopped. Dragging fast. I can see a long drag mark, very consistent appearance. So again, we've got a rock here. If I tip it over, it does not articulate, but if I wiggle it, it falls out. I'm going to say the gravel here is slightly smaller. There's lots of 1/4 inch. Here, I'll show you. Similar. Okay, it's holding idle. Holding. Dragging. Let go good. So it held half, well, it drug at half throttle. One fluke fully buried, the other fluke not buried much at all. All right, there's the drag mark. Holding. Dragging. Reset. Dragging. Holding. That's half throttle. So it took a bit of dragging for it to find a good hold, but then it eventually held the whole thing. I can see just the very top of the roll bar, just a tiny bit of it, and a little bit of the shank. Nothing. Nothing. Let's keep looking. So you might recognize those cobble back there. That's my cobblestone site where I tested with Panope. Just on the other side, it drops off pretty deep, but I was just testing just beyond there, maybe 50 feet in about 7 feet of water. This side right here is kind of a shelf. We're only in about 1.5 feet of water, and kind of a mixed bag. It's kind of sandy and mud right here. It's holding, dragging, reset, and dragging. Not much holding. There might be rock underneath that layer. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a thin layer of sand over rock. Yep. Maybe an inch, inch and a half. Okay, Mantus, sand over rock. Holding. Holding. Okay, dragging at half throttle. And now reset hard. All of the roll bar is visible, all of the fluke is buried, and most of the shank is visible. So it penetrated in several inches. It actually turned up some rocks. Interesting. There's good sized rocks. Gosh, a 2-incher laying on top of the seabed right in the drag mark. I'm pretty sure the anchor scooped that up. Holding. And initially it was holding above idle, but then it took off. You can now see the anchor at the surface. It's water skiing. Never seen that. Let's do that a little faster. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just doing that. Okay, flying anchor. It's not flying in the direction you'd want it to go, but that's interesting. Kind of at the surface, right like that, and then it would kind of plunge down and then come back up. Okay, let's see if we can find another spot. Okay, this is a coarse sand and small pea gravel. Mostly sand and small stones, 1/4 inch at the most. About 2 feet of water. That's holding. Slowly dragging at half throttle. Continuous drag at half throttle. Okay, Flukes were buried, but just at the surface, not deep at all. Holding idle. Held full power. Okay, anchor's fully buried, 100%. Bruce, coarse sand and pea gravel. Slow drag just above idle. Fast drag. Okay, pea gravel and larger stone. It's dragging at idle. Holding idle. Okay, it drugged slowly and then released at 3/4 throttle. Fluke buried, roll bar half buried, shank was visible. Nada. Nothing. So, for a dinghy, this is the one.
Right. That's a
Mantus. Mantus. 2.5 pound dinghy anchor. Did you catch my video where I held panope in about 15 knots with this anchor?
No.
It's pretty cool. It was kind of a sneaky trick. I just sort of said, hey, check out this anchor thing. And anyway, it's pretty cool. They just fall apart in a jiffy for
Wow.
for storing.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool. Stainless, kind of spendy. They give you a bag, a nice line, and 160 bucks.
But it works.
I tell you, it's a runner. I've been I circumnavigated the whole bay looking for different gravel. This is about my 6th or 7th different spot.
Right.
And out of these three, a 2.5 Danforth and a 2.2 pound claw, this is vastly superior.
Wow.
Now in sand, they all did very well. Sandy mud. Yeah, muddy sand. I found loose sand, and again, this is better. I've got to go through all the results, but in the mud they were comparable, but in more challenging places, far
So
superior.
what keeps it from coming apart?
Well, it's got holes that are keyhole shaped
Right.
with enlarged pegs there, and then there's this spring-loaded little pin, so that just goes in, and this part just relies on the flex of the hoop.
Did somebody send you this to test?
They did, the company did.
Boy, it stores nice, doesn't it?
Pretty good, yeah. Yeah, the bag they gave you is this super tough, you know, it'd be waterproof, but there's vent holes, but
Should be great for a small, any small.
anything below 16 feet, man, that'd be the thing.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, a 20, if you're a racer with a 20-footer, you just needed something,
right.
that's the one.
And this helped your boat.
It held Panope in, let's call it 10, gust 15. No waves. I was in the lee of the bluff over there,
Oh.
but there was like, it was a day that was really blowing hard out there.
Yeah.
So there'd be gusts that came through, and it was pushing the bow around, and it held.
Wow.
Yeah, in perfect seabed.
All right, for the first time in all of my testing, something happened. And what that is that I actually found the best anchor. Now, I haven't tested all 2.5 pound anchors in the world, but I have a strong feeling that this is it. It's just not going to be surpassed. If you think it is, by all means, send me an example of a 2.5 pound anchor and I'll test it. I'll take it and this out. We'll go right to those same 10 seabeds that I can think of and I'll test it. Until that happens, here's your number one 2.5 pound anchor. Speaking of anchors getting sent to me, I've got to give a huge thanks to the individual that sent me this Fluke flying anchor. Now, these are not manufactured anymore. I believe they came from Australia, and how they work is you're supposed to just sort of toss them that way, and they fly through the water, and the claim is they can go out and create 5-to-1 scope just all on their own, flying away in the water. You can go on YouTube and search Fluke flying anchor, and the manufacturer has some videos that they put out long ago of these anchors doing just that, and it's pretty impressive. So I'll do my best to kind of replicate that. I'll try to get film of this thing flying, if it will. But the idea is once it lands, you give the rotor a quick jerk, and the shank lifts up, and now it becomes an anchor. Again, I haven't tested this. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll get a video up as soon as I can. Okay, that's all I got for now. Big thanks to the people who have supported me by watching, subscribing, certainly the folks that have donated to my Patreon and PayPal accounts. Huge thank you to all of you. So we'll see you at the next anchor test. So long.